Here's a build to try, free one down dodge. Some time ago I made a video on a dodge build crafted for the highest difficulty in Payday 2, being one down. However, nowadays making that build would mandate one purchases Payday 2 Ultimate Edition. So what about the hundreds of thousands of players who received the game for free and are looking to earn their one down mask, without taking the plunge by investing in DLC? After hours of tinkering, trying various combinations of weapons, skills, and playstyles, I've come up with what I consider a potent build for tackling one down that requires absolutely no DLC. Now, let me preface this video with a disclaimer. The build I'm showcasing here assumes you are at least Infamous level 5, but if you are a lower level of Infamy than that, there is a link in the description to a variation that doesn't require Infamy at all. This build also presumes that you are level 100, which I would highly recommend reaching before playing one down in loud regardless. While there are technically builds you could come up with that don't require reaching max level, one down is intense in difficulty. Many hours of experience on Mayhem and Deathwish are expected of you before even attempting to face the Zeal Team forces. So with all of that said, let's check out my skill points. In the Mastermind tree at the Medic branch, I get Basic Combat Medic and then Ace Painkillers, Combat Doctor, and Inspire. This is very much standard for any one down build with or without DLC. Inspire and Doctor Bags are given to succeed on any loud heist, let alone on one down. Now I'll move over to the Controller branch to get Basic Forced Friendship alongside Aced Joker and Partners in Crime. Jokers, even after being the victims of a nerf, are still one of the most powerful tools at our disposal for tackling one down. They take heat off your team, output damage, and give you passive buffs simply by existing. Lastly, for Mastermind, in the Sharpshooter branch, I'm grabbing Basic Stable Shot and Rifleman, and acing Aggressive Reload. It may surprise some of you, but this dodge build will be making use of a sniper rifle. Aggressive Reload will help counter one of the biggest inherent downsides of sniper rifles, being their reload speed. I'm making a quick stop in Enforcer under Tank to ace Resilience and get Basic Bullseye, standard fare for any dodge build. I've explained why that's the case in an earlier video, which you can view by clicking the helpful little icon in the top right. One more detour over in Technician under Oppressor simply for Steady Grip Basic to improve my weapon's accuracy. And now for the main event. In the Ghost tree at the Artful Dodger branch, I ace Duck and Cover, grab Basic Parkour and Inner Pockets, and then ace Shockproof and Sneaky Bastard. These are all expected skills for a dodge build. In most cases, I would advise against acing Sneaky Bastard, as if you're able to keep your detection risk below 4, you'll reap the maximum dodge benefit for a fraction of the points. However, my weapons of choice are a bit too bulky to use in a dodge build without acing this skill. I'll stick around in Ghost under Silent Killer to get Basic Second Wind and Optical Illusions, and then I'll ace Low Blow. Similarly to Sneaky Bastard, I'll be acing this skill to gain the maximum benefit of a 30% crit chance while having some more wiggle room for less compact firearms. Finally, in Fugitive under Revenant, I ace 9 lives, get Basic Running from Death, and ace Swan Song. The aced skills are a must-have for any loud one-down build, and Running from Death further helps compensate for slow reloads. Speaking of which, this build's primary weapon will be the Platypus 70 Sniper Rifle. I'm attaching a concealment boost and the iron sights onto the sniper to keep my detection risk low. While the Platypus isn't normally associated with being a dodge sniper option, considering our no DLC limitation for this build, it's literally the only option. Still, the modifications for the Platypus sacrifice next to nothing in terms of functionality. It has perfect accuracy and will still pop heads on most enemies, even through walls and shields. For my secondary, I'll be rocking the Bronco 44 Revolver. I'm tricking it out with a +3 concealment boost, the Ergo Wooden Grip, the Pocket Surprise Barrel, and the Slimline Body Upper Receiver. Despite a complete lack of pistol skills, the Bronco is an excellent backup weapon for any difficulty. This revolver's intense concealment allows this build to barely meet the requirements for the full effects of Sneaky Bastard and Low Blow, clocking in at 23 detection risk. While the damage on both of these weapons is a tad low, for one down standards anyway, critical hits will more than make up for that. For melee, I'll be equipping the Electrical Brass Knuckles for stunning enemies. The Throwable's a bit of a wild card. There are plenty of free options that will suffice. I'm personally using the Incendiary Grenade simply because you get 6 of them. Obviously, this build will use upgraded Doctor Bag, bags, and the 2-piece suit for maximum dodge chance. Speaking of, lastly, the perk deck will be Rogue. Not only will this bump my dodge chance up to comfortable levels, but it will increase my weapon swap speed as well, which is more important than you might think. So that's the build for you. Reminder that there are links in the description to the exact build that I just made and a version that doesn't require infamy. Right then, I'll show off how this build plays in practice right after the break. Welcome back. So, how does this build work? Well, I've touched on how to effectively play one down in my video on the DLC variant of this build, but I'll reiterate a few key points as I explain the specifics of this build. The number one tip I give to new and veteran players alike when it comes to one down is that cover is king. You can't be shot when you're in cover, so stay behind it. While keeping your head down behind a wall, you want to take pot shots at any enemies you can see without exposing yourself. The Platypus is a good go-to weapon for distance, being a sniper rifle and all. Basic enemies, cloakers, snipers, and shields will die in a single shot to the head with this rifle. Heavier units will require 2 or more blows unless you're lucky enough to score a critical hit. Swap to the Bronco for enemies that try to get too close, or if you're low on shots in the Platypus. The Bronco doesn't quite have perfect accuracy, but it has a decent rate of fire and plenty of ammo in reserve. These factors combined make the Bronco great at fishing for crits, which will deal massive damage. If a bulldozer tries to rush you, you may very well be able to take them down in a single rotation of the chamber. The key to making this build work is managing your reloads. A killing headshot scored with the Platypus will double your reload speed for 4 seconds, and that goes for both weapons. So thanks to the Rogue perk deck, you can get a kill shot with the sniper, reload, swap to your Bronco, and reload that as well. If done correctly, you can reload both weapons in the span of time it'd normally take to reload just one. In the event you find an enemy isolated from his buddies, you can smack them with the electrical brass knuckles to stun them, take them hostage, and convert them to fight on your side. An army of jokers is no laughing matter, and each additional convert you add to that army makes the heist easier. Anyways, the piece of advice I gave earlier about cover is all well and good, but obviously you can't stick around in one place forever. When you do have to move, sprint very quickly to your objective, minimizing the amount of time enemies can see you. Hop from cover to cover if available. You can use concussion or incendiary grenades if you brought them to stun groups of enemies in preparation for a push. If you do find yourself being shot to death, use Swan Song to get yourself into cover as close to your teammates as possible. If given the opportunity, capitalize on your 9 seconds of infinite ammo and invincibility to score some free kills. When you're finally fully down, try to ensure you're in a location that your teammates can inspire or revive you from. After being downed twice, you'll need to patch yourself up using either a doctor bag from a teammate or placing your own. Stay proactive about doctor bag placement. Make sure there's always one available within spitting distance for medical emergencies. When your fellow heisters find themselves down, take a look at their surroundings as best as you can before inspiring them. While they will be taking 30% less damage for a few seconds upon resurrection, that won't do much for them if they're surrounded by 2 bulldozers and a taser. In more dire situations, you can use Swan Song to inspire a downed teammate who can then, ideally, inspire you when your Swan Song ends. This tends to be the only way to get through some of the more brutal one-down heists like Brooklyn 1010 or Goat Simulator. If those heists sound intimidating, that's because they are. If you're trying out one down for the first time, a few heists I would recommend are Nightclub, Watchdogs, or Cook-Off. They give a good feel for the difficulty while, in my opinion, being balanced fairly. Don't expect to hop into one down Hawkster Breakout, for instance, without having played it before and escape alive. You'll get destroyed. The last bit of advice I have to give is stick together. You can cover your buddies' backs and revive each other when you're camped out in the same area, but if someone runs off and dies halfway across the map, it will cost the rest of the crew dearly. Use voice or text chat to indicate what the plan is and coordinate your attack. Keep tabs on how many times you and your crew have been downed, and above all, don't get greedy. That extra bag of cocaine won't be worth it if it means failing the heist. And that's about it. Keep in mind, your build is only only a portion of what's required to defeat the beast that is 1 down. You'll need good aim, map knowledge, pre-planning, and above all, teamwork to earn yourself that 1 down mask. Still, with this build, one thing you won't need is DLC. Thanks for watching, and take it easy.